Hello, everybody, and welcome to another one of our series, The Breaking Down of Barriers, which is inspired by my book here, which is entitled Breaking Down Barriers, My Journey from a Small African Village to the World Stage, Breaking Down Barriers. My name is Chris Igwe. I want to welcome you to this brief overview of some points that I want to share, which come out of this book that has inspired me and I hope inspires you as well. Now, before I get started, I must admit, I appreciate the various comments, thoughts, questions that are raised, and they're always exciting because it allows me to interact with those of you who are listening or watching and to be able to give you some of my expertise, advice, and thoughts insofar as I can. So in one of the previous videos, I talked about mentoring and the fact that I have had some incredible mentors who have helped me to grow in my own career, my own life, and in my own experience. And I have coaches as well. I still have a couple of coaches today, which I highly recommend to you, but I was focusing more on mentors. And one great question was asked is, how do you find a mentor? Now, there are different ways of doing this. I just want to keep it simple for right now before we go into the main topic of what I want to share. I would say the first thing is just ask. Remember, a mentor is someone who you look up to, who inspires you, who you aspire to be, someone who is a guiding light to the top of that mountain that you want to climb, whatever that mountain happens to be. You just ask. You'd be amazed that simply asking demonstrates a respect for the individual you are asking, but also, of course, the flip side is, are you ready to be mentored? Are you ready for that journey? Now, when you ask, and by the way, don't hit me up and ask me for being a mentor. At the moment, I'm pretty full, pretty busy. If you do want to, you can go to a website called collectivebrains.com. I'm on there as one of the mentors, so www.collectivebrains.com. You'll see me there, you'll see other mentors. There's a whole process. But in my years, I've been able to enjoy mentoring some incredible individuals who've gone on to create incredible success in their life. And I was just asked in those cases. Now, I have a relationship with them today, which is well beyond mentoring. I'm there to support them in their journey. If they want a 5-minute call with me or a 10-minute or whatever, I do that willingly. So you want to find people who are going to be there for you, but you have to be ready. Now, mentoring, for example, in my case, is a fee-paid service. If you're not prepared or ready to pay a fee, that means that you are not ready to be mentored. In the same way that if you're not prepared to pay for a coach to accompany you, it means you're not ready. You see, there's got to be an investment on your side, both financial, time, effort, and everything else. That is all part of the process. So hopefully for those who ask the questions, how do you find a mentor? You find one, him, her, who've achieved what it is that you want to achieve. Ask. And maybe there's an opportunity for a door to be opened. I was equally grateful that in one situation, somebody said to me, they had obviously fallen out with their mentor, didn't go into the details, and wanted to know what I thought about how they should mend it. And I just said, apologize for whatever caused the friction, the problem, and ask if you can reestablish the relationship, which he or she did, and thanked me for that, which is fantastic. It's great that they were able to get back on the right path. So sometimes we overcomplicate things as opposed to seeing the simpler things, the simpler path, but you've got to have a desire, a drive, an ambition, an expectation, and it will happen. And if it's not the right time, then that mentor may be available some other time in the future, depending on where you are. You don't have to have one mentor in your life. You can have many. I've had many mentors as well. So let's get into today's topic. And in this chapter, I go through the book, just highlighting the titles in the chapter. I don't go through each and every aspect. On the one hand, it's about my thoughts and ideas around a philosophy that I bring to you and I help you understand. And then I give a personal story that goes with that. And so this one is entitled Aim to Travel and Live Abroad. Aim to travel and live abroad. That is not something necessarily that everybody wants to do. It's not something everybody likes to do. I've seen in our career, in our life, so my family, we've moved from Scotland to England, moved to Switzerland, to France, Switzerland, back to France, to the Netherlands, and then back to France. So France has been kind of a pivotal, just like England has been. But we've moved as a family. One thing I insisted on in my very first move abroad was that I would take my family. We moved from England to Strasbourg in the east side of France. I wanted to take my family. We had a 9-month-old baby at the time. There was no way I was doing a bachelor status for working and living abroad. It was just not on. Other people who turned up with the company, interestingly, they came on bachelor status, although they were all married. Wasn't the easiest moment for them, but I was just clear I would not go on a bachelor status. And here is what my friend Anita Stampfel says, and she's a European marketing retail executive, and she says, the most amazing moments during my travels and working abroad are not what I call souvenirs or memories, but life experiences and blessings. And that is the key. It's the life experiences and, most importantly, the blessings. You see, without the blessings, you don't know what you've missed out on. Without the blessings, you don't realize just how lucky you are to be where you are. Now, not everybody wants to live and work abroad. The recommendation, however, that I'm giving is it has enabled me, my wife, and my children, we've got 4 children, to be incredibly successful in their achievements. Not only has it given them additional languages, as it has all of us, we're all tri or quadlingual. We wouldn't have had that had we stayed at home. They have the ability, the children and myself and my wife, to blend into any culture, to learn new things, to experience new things. I'm saying that as part of your journey in life, consider the idea of living and working abroad. Now, clearly in some situations, especially today where you have couples who are both working and both have senior jobs, each one has to figure it out in their own life and in the way they see it. Now, I'm grateful that my wife is a midwife and a therapist, so we've been able to travel and she's been able to set up her own businesses or work in hospitals or whatever. So I'm fortunate in that sense. But at the flip side, I've seen couples where the wife, for example, has a very senior job. She may be an investment banker, she may be a lawyer, she may be in some corporate function, very well remunerated and very well appreciated in the company. And she has moved and the husband has moved with the children. And then you've had stay-at-home dads because maybe they were teachers or they had some other role or function where the salary was not as great as their wife's. And yet they committed to and enjoyed and embraced the idea. And whilst it's not happened to me, I'm just giving you some thoughts and ideas. Even if you're in a situation where you think, well, I'd rather my wife worked and I don't, but what am I going to do? Well, there are so many things that you can do in life. I don't know, take up knitting if you want to knit, take up cooking if you don't know how to cook, take up painting. It doesn't matter what it is. Just do something that gives you pleasure, enjoyment, and excitement, and follow your spouse and look after your children if you have children in that situation. So travel is absolutely critical. And one of the things that I strongly recommend in the book is not only quotations, but also action items or even other books to look at. And one of the books that I want to bring here, because it's also linked to this idea of living abroad, and I recommend it in the book, is Secrets of Working Across 5 Continents by 2 ladies, Meltem Echeberry and Bettina von Stamm. Now, I'm actually in this book as well. The authors published this book, and sorry, not the authors, but the publishers didn't want to have all of us. We're actually 5 women and myself, all from different countries, from Russia, 1 from Russia, Guatemala, 2 from Turkey, 1 from Germany, and myself from Nigeria. We all contributed to this book. And my section in here is on visionary and authentic leadership. So I did a whole section, it's not even a chapter, it's almost a book in itself, on visionary and authentic leadership. But the point about this book was we wanted to acquire knowledge and insight from people. We interviewed 150 people to ask them about their thoughts and ideas. They had to be senior individuals in businesses living and working abroad. They had to have lived in at least 1 other country, so 2 countries, from their original to wherever they were. And based on our interviews and questions and interaction, we wanted to understand the fundamentals of what it takes to live and work abroad and what the experiences are that they have acquired during that process. And it's all in that book, which you can find. But going back to this book, what I was saying is traveling and living abroad is so incredibly enriching. Yes, it's filled with traumas, it's filled with challenges. I refer in the book to, for example, I was the first to be moved abroad with my company. That was when I was in the civil engineering construction industry. And moving out there, the company had never, through its HR, sent anybody abroad. Now, I was grateful to be on an expatriate status, fantastic, but the salary and remuneration did not compensate for the hassles, difficulties, and challenges from opening a bank account, not speaking as good French as I used to when I was in Switzerland, my wife at home not able to work with a 9-month-old baby. How do you find a flat to live in? How do you find and do all the administrative stuff, the simplest of things? Where do you go shopping? The basic challenges, and this is obviously a long, long time ago. And the story that I tell in the book is essentially being out there. I won't go through the story. If you want to buy the book, that's great. If you don't, that's what it is. The CEO didn't even know what it took to live and work abroad. And so the challenges that we went through, my wife and I, which we overcame, and in the end we did a short report back to the company so that others could benefit from our experience and not go through the pains and challenges of what we did and had at the time. But then again, as Anita says, it's about life experiences and blessings. And the blessings far outweighed the hassles, the difficulties, the challenges, the difficult moments that we had because we were so enriched by it. And so it's kind of surprising that when we lived abroad, whether it's in Strasbourg or in Hilversum in the Netherlands or anywhere else in between, we've come across families who are just desperate to leave those countries and go home to wherever they are. No judgment, no judgment. But what I'm saying is they've missed out on a huge opportunity, not just for them as parents, but for their children. Some children adapt easier, some don't. I get that. I'm not saying any of this is easy, but what I am saying from personal experience, from this book, which we put together, compiled, a 3-year project to do this, we know that when you live and work abroad, there is no equal to it. There is absolutely no equal. So my recommendation to you, and what we say in here, for example, is this is a question. So I've got critical thinking questions. And these critical thinking questions are supposed to push you to think for yourself, to ask yourself the tough questions, and to come up with a solution that makes sense for you. And in this critical thinking question, here is what I ask you. If you were offered the chance to live and work abroad, even for a short period, would you take it? Why? Why would you take it? And if your answer is no, then why not? You see, you've got to face up to it. You can't just say, I don't want to live abroad. What is fundamentally the reason why you don't want to live abroad? And the flip side is, if you do want to live abroad, why do you? What is it that you hope to acquire? Because that'll be your roadmap. But then if you say, I don't want to live abroad, and your reasons are very clear, and you accept and embrace those, then at least from a critical thinking point of view, you've made your choice and your decision. So don't then come back 10, 20, 30 years' time and say, I wish I'd done that. There's no time for regrets. It's too late anyway. Okay? So the idea of these critical thinking questions is you've got to go deep into yourself. No one will answer the question for you. No one will. One very quick example, which is not in the book, and during these videos I do give you some other thoughts and ideas that come to my mind. In one of the companies that I worked with, a young man, he must have been in his late 20s perhaps, and I got on really well with him. I'd like to say that I was sort of his unofficial mentor, so he would ask me questions or help me support. And he one day said to me, I just want to know, there's an opportunity for me to go and live and work in Asia. What do you think? Exactly what I've told you here. I went through, listened to him, so on. He had a girlfriend at the time, was very happy where he was living. and so on and so forth. And I said to him, you are young enough to make the decision to live and work abroad. Even if he was older, it didn't really matter. And he said, well, what about my girlfriend? I said, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and she will join you. If she doesn't, that's a decision you both have to make. In the end, he went, and he's never looked back. He grew and grew and grew as an individual in terms of responsibility in that company. And today he is senior VP in the company, different country. Obviously won't give you too many clues as to who that might be or get your mind going trying to figure it out. But he's gone from having a junior role to having a senior role. And this must be about a 15-year gap or something like that. So, mid or 10 years, maybe, whatever. That must be about 15. So, he's in his 30s now, maybe pushing 40. The point is that he has acquired huge, huge knowledge, skill, insight, and competencies that he would not have acquired had he been living at home and not, or in that same country, and not taken this opportunity. So what are you missing on the other side, potentially, if you don't do it? I don't know. Those are choices for you. So anyway, I hope this has resonated with you, and I would invite you to subscribe to the channel so when other stories or opportunities are coming up, you can hear and listen to them. But in the meantime, until we speak again, I wish you all the best. Thank you.